Welcome to another episode of the New Zealand Property Ladder podcast. I'm your host, Jean, and today, as always, I always have a special guest in my studio today, Marshall.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi, Marshall. How's things?
Yeah, good. It's a selling season, it's a spring, and we're going towards the summer, and the markets are really busy with lots of activities.
Of course, so you've been a very busy man.
Yeah, well, welcome to real estate.
This is the life we chose. It's our destiny, right?
Exactly.
Marshall, you've been in the industry for a very long time, haven't you?
Well, it's actually, personally, I don't feel like it's been that long, but when I look back, yes, I started my real estate career in 2009, and I've been calling auctions with Harcourts since 2013, so it's been some 16 years. By the way, I got married at the same year, 2009. So every time people ask me, how long have you been in real estate? I remember, the anniversary, how long have you been married together? So straight answer.
Hey, that's good though, because that means you can remember your anniversary.
Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll be in trouble.
What drew you to become an auctioneer?
Okay, yeah. So in 2013, that was my fourth year in selling as a real estate agent. I was trying to take my career to the next level, and also I was eager for some different sort of challenge. And meanwhile, I was at a Buff & Thompson back in the days, and when I look at the Auctioneer, they conduct auctions, and I think they look cool. I think the job is easy, and I suppose that they're making big money. So I thought, yeah, maybe I want to be an auctioneer. So one day I spoke to Tony Lochran, which is the auctioneer that they have on the shore, and I said, how do I be an auctioneer? Tony told me that, okay, I'll ring you. And then a few months later, he did give me a call. That was April. And he said, come, do the competition. I have never caught any auctions, have no idea what it's all about. So he got me into the competition, and I practiced it really hard because I'm kind of the person that either I don't do it. If I do, I want to give it 100% of my effort. Yeah, so I did well. I won the award, the Rookie Award for the year. And this is how I end up in this position.
Sounds like a journey. You just,
definitely.
the moment, as soon as you say, I want to become an auctioneer, how do I do it? Next moment, a few months later, okay, do a competition.
Yes.
That actually reminds me of the time, not real estate related, but before I go into real estate, I was a classical musician for close to 20 years.
Oh.
I was a violin player for close to a decade. And then I was approaching my last year of high school, and I was like, wait a second, I am more drawn to the middle voice range. And that's what drawn me to the viola at the time. And then I was learning the viola, which is, by the way, a combination in between a violin and a cello. And 2 months after starting learning that instrument, my teacher at the time was like, do a competition. And I was like, how? So I totally understand, totally different industry, but I totally understand the nerves that come with it. It's actually a really good thing because you actually learn a lot about yourself and what you can actually do.
Absolutely. Through the process, I still remember that I can't remember anything after I've done the competition call. Yeah, so it's very nerve-wracking. But at the end of the day, the competition gave me a huge amount of pressure. Meanwhile, it helped me stay focused as well. So competition and pressure sometimes, it has the positive side effect as well.
Of course. And I'm just curious because I know auctioneering has these competitions, but real estate salespeople, there's no competition as such as a big event like that. So what is the difference between being at a auctioneering competition versus calling an actual auction in the room?
It's quite the same, but also very different as well. So when you're calling an auction in the street, you know exactly how many buyers have you got because you know the number of registrations and you know who's likely to bid. But when you are doing the competition, it's the same concept, but we have absolutely no idea about who's there to bid, what's going to become, and where the bidding is going to stop. And sometimes they test the auctioneer's memory and a calculation skill by throwing some really weird number at you. So this is where we have to show salesmanship, and also we have to show them our brain power and a calculation skill as well.
I've heard about that. Because a former colleague of mine also recently competed in an auctioneering competition, but for a different brand. And a lot of my colleagues that came to watch him were saying how impressive it was. And also they were curious to see how could he calculate in his head so quickly as well under pressure.
Yeah.
So imagine how much pressure there would be as well. And so you're known for your multicultural skills and working across clients from diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
And how does that influence the way you build relationships and conduct your work?
Yeah, good question. I mean, when I look back in the 2013, I joined Harcourts. I was doing a job that no other Chinese person has done before, and I'm doing it with my second language. Yes, I've been in New Zealand for 25 years, but still, it's not my native mother language. It's my second language. It's really, really challenging. But also, meanwhile, one of the reasons why Harcourts Cooper & Co. got me from Barfoot, of course, the brand from Barfoot to Harcourts, is one of the reasons is that on the shore, there are a lot of Asian people buying and lots of Chinese people buying, selling as well. And this is where they think about having bilingual auctioneer can add value to the company and also to the clients as well, which I absolutely agree because when I look at dealing with the different people, everyone has got different culture, an Asian, Indian, Kiwis, we're all the same, but sometimes it's slightly a bit different in some way. I do find that by speaking the same language, it's helped me better understanding about our clients and provide a better service as well.
Exactly. And I agree with you on that because when you speak the same language as them, you build that rapport much faster than you anticipate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It reminded me of an auction that just had last week in South Auckland, Papakura. You don't normally see a lot of Chinese people buying in that area, but yeah, surprisingly, I end up sold the property to a Chinese old couple. The interesting thing is we were about $5,000 away, where their budget was $750, and then they stretched out to $760, where the vendor was hoping for $780, and it then dropped to $765. That $5,000 they were going to walk out of the room, and then we got the buyer back, and because we have the same language, and the buyer actually really appreciated that because we speak the same language, and it's easier for us to understand each other. And then they went a little bit further, $5,000. We declared the property on the market, and we sold the property to them.
Congratulations on the auction, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. And when you speak the same language, what I find fascinating is it's almost like telepathy.
What?
Telepathy. So you kind of are thinking the same thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you share the same mind. You can read that person's mind almost instantly. So as soon as you start talking in the same language as them, it's almost like, wait a second, you're thinking the same way I'm thinking.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
I get that as well from my line of work as an agent because I speak Korean. I'm a Korean agent myself. And when I come across Korean clients, when I hear them speak in Korean, I'm just thinking, oh, so they're Korean. And then I speak Korean to them and they get a bit of a surprise, but it's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
And then we start conversing in Korean. And then next minute, a deal's done. I became accustomed to the Western culture.
Yeah.
And as I become accustomed to the Western culture, I started to notice certain things when I started working in real estate. It's a good skill to have actually being a unicorn because I understand both from the perspective from the Western culture and the Asian culture as well. Asians are very smart in their strategy. And what I noticed from the auction rooms is that when you see it, for example, a Chinese bidder, they go up in very small increments of $500.
They do. And also it's very common that when I see Chinese buyers that don't place a bid until they hear the property is on the market. That happens very often as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it happens a lot in the central Auckland area when it's a double grammar zone.
Yeah.
I remember this one time last year, a property in Epsom went to auction. I was there because I was helping selling it on the listing side. There were 6 registered bidders, all from different races. And there was a Chinese and a Western family. And they were competing against each other and it was going by $500 increments. It's very interesting. And they almost got the property, but it was just the speed as well. So...
Yeah, it's interesting that sometimes, as an auctioneer, I see this all the time, but small increment normally leads to a long bidding session. And to me, sometimes it's more about if you want to buy well, you got to show your competitors that your commitment, and by having small increment, it's very hard to achieve that goal. Bidding strategy, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own way. And quite often I see people purposely place a big bid at the beginning of the auction and then kill the momentum and energy, which is the auctioneer's job to create and build. And sometimes that works really well as well.
Speaking of bidding strategy, what's your personal take on a good, efficient, or effective bidding strategy?
Yeah, bidding strategy. Okay, so number one, as a buyer, you need to come to the auction room prepared. Okay, normally I suggest that you work out three figure. Okay, your happy price, how much you're hoping to buy the property for. And then number two, you have to do your research. You should have a fair idea about the market value of the property. And number three, I mean, depends on how much interest or how much love you have in the property. That's the top dollar that you can or you are willing to offer. You don't want to leave the thinking in the last minute because at the auction time goes really quick. I see people hesitate and then they miss out. And also, if you need help from people, let's say these days, I see a lot of people need help from the parents, bring parents to the auction as well. So number one, well prepared. Number two, have a good strategy. Work out where you are going to start the bidding from. And of course, the top dollar that we have mentioned. And also, you can choosing the right spot as well. When you go to the auction room, you see all those chairs. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea to sit in the front row where you can't see anyone, but everyone can see you. I would choose a spot where you can easily see everyone as well. On the bidding side, you can use different strategies like bidding against yourself, double bidding. Double bidding is a great way to show your commitment to purchase the property. When you get to sometimes, for example, 795, 796, you go straight to $800,000 instead of chipping away at 1,000. The reason for that is quite often when people have the loan approved, it's around nice even figure. Let's say, for example, $1 million. If you have two buyers have exactly the same amount approved, which means that the first buyer who gets a $1 million wins. So sometimes it's a good idea for you to take that position first. Yeah, so in the end, double bidding and also sometimes telephone bidding, I certainly suggest that every buyer should come to the auction. You want to feel it. The other thing is that I have had this happen to me before. Telephone bidder, they were trying to place a bid at the auction and it was the property, the auction has been brought forward. The auctioneer announced that the property on the market at this whatever price. The buyer was trying to bid over the phone, but guess what? The signal cut off. So I couldn't hear anything. And then a few seconds later, the auctioneer banged the hammer, sold the property, and the buyer was telling me another 5,000, but unfortunately he missed out because of that. Yeah, so that's why I always urge the buyer to come to the auction as well. Prior to the auction, if you need to negotiate on the amount of the deposit and also the settlement day, if you prefer long or shorter settlement, have that arranged prior to the auction. Don't leave that to the last minute. For whatever reason, I keep having last minute variation right before the auction. Personally, I don't think that's the best thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets really stressful, eh? It's like when you're 1 week before the auction, you think to yourself, oh, I have the time. I can do my paperwork on the day,
Yeah.
when I show up. But, we have DocuSign. We can easily do that through online registrations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also on the day, I totally understand when it comes to the very last minute, like a few minutes before the auction and people start showing up and they tell you, I want to bid. You have to go through a series of questions, not too long, but a series of questions such as, do you have a lawyer? Do you have any variations? And sometimes when they haven't bought real estate in a while, they haven't contacted their lawyer in years.
Yeah.
So that also takes a bit of time too. So I totally agree regarding do your due diligence, do your paperwork on time.
And also registration is important as well. I just finding that a lot of people leave their registration to the last minute. That's very dangerous because when the market gets hot, quite often we can get pre-auction offers. Like I just had one today. Before this interview, I had a phone call from an agent. He told me that he had a pre-auction offer and then it's been accepted and it brought the auction forward to Sunday. If you don't want to miss out, make sure you tell the agent that you are interested, because some agent, they only tell the registered buyer about the pre-auction offers. And if you don't register, you get missed out.
And speaking of auction brought forwards, when there's a pre-auction offer, what's the best way to handle those scenarios?
It depends on if you're a buyer or a seller. If you're a buyer, pre-auction offer sometimes can work pretty well because you just eliminate the competition in the first place. And number two, by placing the pre-auction offer, I mean, you probably have already done your due diligence. And after the pre-auction offer has been accepted, normally it's about 48 hours notice. So maybe a lot of people don't even have time to do their due diligence within 48 hours. Then again, you eliminate potential competition as well. Meanwhile, on the seller's side, pre-auction offer, I mean, the people who make pre-auction offers are the buyers who are serious about purchasing the property. And sometimes, like say today, the reason why the buyer made the pre-auction offer is because that they've got another auction to attend, which is at 4 o'clock. So they've made the auction time for that property, made the offer on at 1 o'clock. So if they can't buy that property, they can go to another auction and purchase another property. So I generally find people who put the offer in writing are the serious buyers. And also pre-auction offers, I do see pre-auction offer, doesn't matter, it's acceptable or not, it's the best feedback from the buyers. I mean, end of the day, all sellers are hoping for the best possible price. But what is a best price? What is a good offer? You only find that out after you have seen the clarity from the market, after you compare your offer to other offers. So generally, I do find a pre-auction offer is a good thing for both buyers and sellers.
No, that's totally understandable. Nowadays, I've been seeing a lot of signboards out there with the signage saying auction brought forward at this particular time. And I've been seeing a lot of auctions being brought forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, that certainly means to me, I think the urgency is kind of back. It's not the buyer's market, of course, just yet. To me, I think at the moment, if you look at the auction clearance rate, it sits somewhere around 40 to 50%. Say, for example, last week, Harcourts, we achieved 49%. So 49% is not the seller's market, is not the buyer's market either. So I see that as a balanced market. But it's good to see that the more auction has been brought forward, which means that people don't want to wait for any longer. And also, if you look at the season now, I mean, getting closer and closer to Christmas, when people make a pre-auction offer, they get a certainty and they can settle prior to the Christmas. They can have a good Christmas holiday, which means that they're going to have a great 2026 next year as well.
And people want to be in their new homes for Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic feeling. Just imagine a fresh new feeling.
Start a new year fresh and strong.
Prosperity.
Yeah.
And so some auctions have vendor bids when no one bids. So what exactly is a vendor bid and what are the advantages and disadvantages of them?
Look, vendor bid is the every Kiwi's right. When selling by auction, they can appoint the auctioneer to vendor bid on their behalf. But of course, we have to disclose when we place a vendor bid, and we only vendor bid when it's below the reserve price. So we can't place any vendor bid above the reserve. Well, when you hear the auctioneer place a vendor bid, normally it's a sign that we are far away from the reserve price. So say, for example, when we have a reserve at 1.5, sometimes maybe we start the auction from 1.2 without knowing how many bidders we're going to have, but sometimes end up with only one, no problem. Buyer put the hand out at 1.2, which means that we are not going to have any further competition. I, as an auctioneer, sometimes place a vendor bid, let's say 1.25, which means that we are far away. And if you want to secure the ownership of the property, you have to work with me and keep working from there. And when we get close to the reserve price or close to the market value, this is where I prefer not to vendor bid. And we do private negotiation instead. Yeah, so when you hear the auctioneer place a vendor bid, normally don't be scared. It just means that we are far away from the reserve price most of the time.
So there are some auctions out there where there's only one registered bidder.
Okay.
So in those scenarios, what is the advantage and disadvantage of them?
Yeah, so during the property transaction, we have one seller and we can only sell property to one buyer. So one bidder to me is definitely not a problem. Actually, over the last few years, because the market has been very tough, lots of auctions end up with no buyers at all. So finding the buyer has become the main challenge. And the other thing is when you look at the ratio that the auction with at least the one buyer still have a very good chance to sell. If you look at the auction process, yes, that provide the opportunity for the buyers to compete against each other, but also provides transparency to the buyers as well. You can see the buyers, you can see what they are doing, and you know how much they are offering. And I think the most important thing is you can have instant feedback. So you know how much they are bidding and you can make an instant decision against them. But compared to, like, say, a deadline treaty or a tender, basically that means the owner, well, they can hold your offer for 5 working days without giving you an answer. To me, compared to auction transparency and instant feedback, these two are very, very good for actually it's good for both buyers and sellers.
At the end of the day, you can only sell to one person.
And we have sold a lot of property with only one bid at auction. I mean, the buyers who came to the auction, they are the buyer who are really keen to buy. And vendor, of course, they spend big dollars in marketing, auction fee, and of course, most of them, they have good commitment to sell. So with the good negotiation, efficient negotiation, quite often with a one bidder, we can sell the property sometimes with a really good result. Both parties happy as well.
That's fair. And the beauty of a one registered bidder auction is that you have the power to negotiate in the rooms, and it will normally go straight into negotiating.
Yeah, and also the other thing I want to mention is sometimes, well, you can be the only bidder, but it doesn't mean that you are the only interested party, because at auction process, mainly we deal with unconditional buyers first, but not everyone is in the position to place a bid. So you might see only one buyer bidding at auction. We could have another 3 or 4 conditional buyers waiting for us to pass in as well. That's the other thing I want to talk about, is being in a cash unconditional buyer is a really, really powerful position to be, because being the cash buyer, you provide certainty to the seller. And compared to conditional buyer, there's uncertainty over there. So because of this the certainty, sometimes vendor would even pay for the certainty. They're willing to adjust their price for the certainty. And I have seen many buyers, because they're in the unconditional position, they bought pretty well, and the vendors are happy as well. Yeah, maybe I should add a recent auction that I had for a lifestyle property. Yeah, so during the auction, one of the buyer actually on the phone made the buyer was watching the auction online, and where the bidding stopped at $836,000. The buyer sent the listing agent text message during the negotiation to say that she's willing to offer $950,000, but it's conditional subject to 5 working days finance. Meanwhile, at the auction, the top bidder increased the offer to $936,000. Guess what? The owner chose the cash offer at $936,000, and we sold the property under the hammer. So that's both parties are happy. But if you're looking at it from the buyer's end, they saved themselves a lot of money from there as well.
These days in this current market, it's a bargain market. Would you agree?
Well, this is, like I said before, this is a balanced market at the moment. This is where the buyers can buy pretty well. If you look at the interest rate, definitely is dropping, is lower than before. But also, if you look at the stock level, it's got plenty of options. So you have options, you have a low interest rate, and you don't have that sort of really severe competition out of the auction that you have seen in 2021. And to the buyers, I think this is a great market for them to buy. But to the sellers also, 49% auction clearance rate. You take a property to auction, you have half the chance to sell it under the hammer. You get certainty there. And this is a market that I think to the sellers, stick to the process, get everything right. Don't take any shortcut. I mean, end of the day, I have seen people want to save the cost, but I know it's a human nature. We want to save the cost there, but I don't see any advertising as a cost. To me, it's a investment. I sold my own property back in 2019 when the market was really quiet. I spent back in the days, the property press was still around. We spent about $12,000 in marketing, and the price of the property, when I look at what's been sold, I think maybe $980. That would be the price. Logically, that probably would be the price that we will achieve. So we put the property on the market for auction. It was winter time, a bit quiet, but we invested lots of money into marketing. End up with the pricing band, we search indicator, we put $900 to $1 million. And we end up with 6 registered bidders on the day. So I did the auction for myself. Very nerve-wracking experience. And the bidding stops, I think it's somewhere around $1,070,000. And the bidding stopped at $1,065,000. Manager told me that, Marshall, I'm going to negotiate. Leave that with me. I actually set the reserve price at $980 or $1 million or something. Yeah, so at that time, it was actually over the reserve. The manager wants to be a hero. He said, leave that with me. I'm going to negotiate, get a top dollar for you. So he negotiated with the buyer, a Korean. That's the one that we sold to the Korean family. 10 minutes, he got $5,000 for me. I'm not saying that he's useless, but at that time, I think competition is the best way to keep the buyer going. I said, don't worry, at $1,070,000, let's declare the property on the market. So we declare the property on the market, and through lots of $1,000 bids, we sold it for 1.14. So compared to the initial price expectation, it's the result of the marketing, result of the competition, as a result of combinations of lots of things together.
First of all, congratulations on selling your home. And it must be a totally different experience when you're not only selling your own home, but auctioneering your own home as well. Imagine the pressure.
Before that, I always spoke to another auctioneer and said, hey, look, do you want to do this one for me? And he said, no, you can do it. You can do it for yourself. So I did it for myself. And it was a good result. I was really happy.
Oh, that's so good to hear. As long as you're happy and you get the price that you want, that's a good thing, right? Yeah.
Good example as well, because one of the reasons we spend a lot of money, we invest the big dollars into marketing, full page on property presses, because I want to set example for people, because we've been teaching our team, this is what you need to do, because we, as a real estate sales consultant, we need to believe in marketing. Well, personally, I certainly do believe in marketing. It's my belief. So I want to show them the power of marketing. And, it worked.
Exactly. Marketing is so powerful. And despite the cost, up front, it may look expensive, but just go see it as a long-term investment. Could get you more money. Who knows? And speaking of auctions, what is your advice that you would give to a seller that is nervous about auctions but is considering that as an option to sell?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of people see auction as an event, but to me, it's a process. Okay. So, and also it's a lotto ticket. I always say this, auction process is a lotto ticket to a premium price. Like when you buy a lotto, do you win? Well, you don't always win. Well, you sometimes win. And to most people, they never win, but they still keep buying. But if you don't buy, you have absolutely zero chance to win. Yeah, so with auction, that provides that opportunity for you to gain premium dollar through competition. And sometimes, some people are lucky. They can end up the multiple bidders bidding at auction, compete, and it is sold with a really premium price. But not every seller can be that lucky. So sometimes if you're not on the lucky side, no problem. That's not at the end of the process. So when you finish your auction campaign, you should have had enough feedback from the market. And then guess what? We list a asking price according to the feedback that's been generated from the market. Most of the properties can be sold through the auction to price process as a whole. So give it 7 weeks time combined all together. So the first 3 or 4 weeks for the auction, and then 2 to 3 weeks for the post-auction selling process. That would give you about 7 weeks. And if you look at the average days to sell a property on the market, to sell a property at the moment is sitting somewhere around 50 days. So 50 days, 7 weeks, 49. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, the data never lies, right?
Yeah.
And so what's the benefit of buying a property at auction?
Buying a property at auction, okay, number one, if you are a cash buyer, when you buy a property at auction, you only compete against cash buyers. Okay, so when you buy a property through price by negotiation or deadline treaty, you are competing against every buyer. Okay, so with the auction, you only compete against the cash buyers, which is not the entire market. Number two, like I said, because of that auction, you provide certainty to the seller. Most of the seller would pay; they're happy to pay for the certainty. And if the prices are closed, most of the time they drop their price expectation, especially when we have multiple bidders. I do see the vendor sometimes they drop the price. They hope that the competition will drive the price back up. That's a good reason for them to adjust your price price expectation as well.
No, that's fair enough. And even though it's a public event in itself, at the same time, the process is exclusive because it's only exclusive to cash buyers, because that's why auctions are so popular, because you can sell it quickly and you can move on.
Oh, by the way, talking about that, what can a conditional buyer do through an auction process? Yeah, so a lot of people don't understand. They see the property advertised for sale by auction. It doesn't mean that a conditional buyer is completely out. So if a conditional buyer make an offer to the vendor, guess what? The listing agent does have the obligation to present the offer to the vendor, so they can't say no on the vendor's behalf. Recently, I had auction. At the beginning of the campaign, one conditional buyer made an offer, pre-auction conditional offer, and that offer is supposed to go unconditional before the auction date, and where the vendor has agreed and accepted the offer, guess what? Then that property was sold prior to the auction.
Yeah, fair enough. And I know auctions are popular, but what's your perspective on why people should choose to auction their property?
With auction the property, you auction for competition and you do auctions for cash unconditional offer. Let's say, for example, if you have a deadline and you need to sell the property in 3 weeks, cash unconditionally, what would be the best method of sale? Auction. Yeah, so make it short. Number one, opportunity for competition. Number two, cash unconditional offer, certainty.
And it's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. And speaking of your auctioneering career, because you were a salesperson before and then you changed to becoming an auctioneer, what's your advice to salespeople that are thinking of going into auctioneering?
Yeah, so I mean, the good thing about real estate, there's no standard answer. What worked for me might not work for you. So I can share just outlets, but it's just personally, like my personal view. For a salesperson who just joined the industry, I mean, to me, I think for the salespersons, the most valuable thing, the most important thing is the database. So a database is kind of like the roots. If you have a strong database, big database, guess what? The flowers will come, the leaves will come, the tree will come. But if you don't have a strong database, you have no roots. Guess what? There will be no flowers, no leaves, no trees. And I also keep saying the same thing to a lot of people as well. Make sure you work on the database. But the thing is, database doesn't come overnight. The database itself, to me, is not a call list. It's not a my list. It's the number of people that you know. The people that you know, and also you ring them. And when you ring them, they know who's calling. If you ring them, they don't know who's calling. And then, well, that's not really your database. It's just a call list. You build database over the years through time. Sometimes, even if you add 2 people into your database a week, just give it a week, 2 person, a year's time, that's 100. And to tell you what, a database of 200, database of 300 people is really powerful sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's
Because
not.
people give you
Yeah.
the referrals, they need you, and also they bring in referrals as well. So number one is database. And number two, consistency is more important in intensity, because I don't want people to break themselves. Work too hard and then you last 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, and then people find it's too hard. Don't break yourself. It's a marathon. It's a long game. Don't push too hard. Of course, we want you to work hard and make sure you reward yourself as well, but it's a long game.
I worked in teams, real estate teams, since day one.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate that I already had a database. But then I came out of a team a few months ago. And so I'm starting from scratch. And it's very different to when you see it as an outsider in terms of how people perceive real estate agents and how they make their money.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Actually, because I also over the years I got involved into management and also recruiting as well. I have to say that a lot of people that join the industry without a good understanding about the industry. I mean, people see what they see. They see a real estate agent drive flash cars and wear fancy clothes and do open homes and get paid for big dollars. It's not how it works. And also the auctioneering. Before I joined Harcourts as auctioneer, I thought that this is an easy job. And tell you what, it's definitely not easy. It's actually way harder than what I was been doing before. And when I look back, sometimes I ask myself, if I know this hard and this much of a competition, would I still do it? Of course, I would still do it. What I'm trying to say is a lot of people join the real estate industry without having a good understanding. Lots of work behind scene, and you need to be emotionally strong because pretty much we're handling rejections, objections every day. You need to have tough skin, and all of that. People can't see. They can't feel us.
That was such good advice. You have such a wealth of knowledge. Where's the best way for people to connect with you?
816-888-8. You put 027 in front, then that's my phone number.
That's a lot of eights. It must be all lucky numbers. Did you pick each individual number?
Pretty much, yes, I did.
How about social media?
Yeah, social media. I mean, I post a lot on social media. I'm searching my name, Marshall Zhang. I'm on Facebook. I'm on WeChat. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, you can find me there.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you,
understand
Jane.
you're very busy, but really appreciate you coming here. Well, that's it, guys. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, subscribe and follow us on our social media, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.